Citlali is mean, severe, unreasonable at times, and overly dependent on alcohol. And these flaws are exactly what make her more fun, relatable, and more balanced than her other Natlanese counterparts. This is the Unlikely Genshin Gamer, and today I want to talk about why the blossoming relationship between Citlali and the Traveler is more meaningful than normally found in the game, and why she comes across as better written than many others. There will be spoilers for her Tribal Chronicle quest, so you should do that first. And lastly, if you're frustrated by the story direction they've taken with the Traveler and Citlali, you may not want to watch either, because I'm going to justify it here. Now, with that out of the way, let me start by saying that Citlali's story quest is one of the better ones, because it nicely focuses on her development as a character, although it's still featured an NPC plotline as well. I don't mind the NPCs as long as they are a device to better flesh out the playable character they are accompanying. A great example is Takuya from Ito's quest, which is one of the best story quests in my opinion. In Citlali's quest, we learn that one of the biggest driving factors behind Citlali's attitude is her soul-numbing loneliness. This was already foreshadowed by her having a cryo vision. It's clear that the elements carry certain emotional properties with them, and to be eligible to resonate with the cryo path, the person has to in some way be out of place or ostracized from the community they are a part of, which leads to loneliness. If you don't believe me, check out every cryo character we have gotten so far, and realize that either they don't belong in the group they are in, or in some other way are very lonely in that space, like Eula, Kaya, Ganyu, and Shenhe. In Citlali's character story, which I will be posting the read-through of on my other channel soon, when asked how old she really is, we find out that she doesn't actually know because she didn't really start counting until she had lost the person closest to her, Huitzilin. The loss of that one deep connection she had made jolted her into really wanting to take note of how much time was passing. Perhaps she was taken by surprise by Huitzilin's frailty and age when she came to see her that last time, because Citlali herself just lets the years whiz by without properly acknowledging how much less time others had than her. Her analogy about the flower in a field that inevitably fades, which was beautiful by the way, nicely expressed how she began to see the world. To say this another way, we have a good many entities in the game who live abnormally long lives, constantly losing those they choose to bring into their inner circle of friends. Goodness knows that Zhongli wonders where are those that share the memory. But not many take Citlali's approach to avoiding the pain. Raiden and her son come closest, but tend to be more outwardly destructive with their pain. A lost friend after friend until the loss of her twin sister was too much to bear, and her approach was to withdraw from life almost completely, sacrificing her body to exist solitarily and forever in a dreamscape that would bring her closer to the ideal of eternity. You see, the element of Electro confers a very different, but in this case, overlapping concept. To hold on to something indefinitely. People who have Electro visions are pursuing the preservation of something they hold dear. It's not passion like pyro users. It is truly to try to hold something that is trying to flee away in stasis. So Raiden and Kunikazushi pushed everyone away from themselves and tried to attain to literal eternity. Citlali, on the other hand, pushed people away and braved loneliness to stave off the pain of renewed loss. She loses herself in fantastical books, sleeps as long as she possibly can, and otherwise buries herself at the bottom of a bottle when she can. Because nothing in life has meaning anymore, since they'll always eventually float away. that's depression if ever I heard it. She's awkward and crotchety and refuses to get close to anyone, and because she was given the role of the Wicked Witch by her late friend and rival Citlali, then she simply faithfully upholds it and doesn't mingle. Not very hard to do when she is genuinely frustrated. But then enter the Traveler, who already always draws people to him like a magnet, and makes them believe in him by the power of gold, I suppose. And at first, that did seem to be the case with her as well. From that very first reading when they met at the stadium, she had tried to in some way be on her best behavior around him. But that connection deepened when she accidentally began sharing her thoughts and he heard but didn't judge her for it. That was interesting and funny, but that's not what is making this relationship between them more fulfilling. Unlike everyone else who, for the most part, fall into the Traveler's spell and he is quickly their best friend, despite her desire to make a good impression and not embarrass herself in front of him, he did actually have to work for her true friendship. Before that, it was always going to be a silly sort of crush kind of thing wherein she didn't want to make a bad impression and stuff. And she'll help him when she can, but that was the Traveler effect part. Once it became clear that he was gently teasing her to show that he didn't just want her to defer to him because he's the Traveler, when he pointed out that he wanted to put in the time to know her, saying things to her in his head that he probably wouldn't have said out loud, that's when you could tell that this wasn't just his perpetual goodwill coming to the fore. Say like Chiori, who was also the type to be rather abrasive around others. The Traveler represented the non-judgmental ear to listen, so she could more truthfully say what was on her mind, and he was someone who could see past her outward attitude to her other qualities. But with Citlali, he actively wanted to defend her and show her that he was someone who truly cared about her. He asked to be friends, and she said she would have to think about it. Yes, she was drawn to him, but still reluctant to go any further than just liking that nice person who is very friendly and heroic. And he was prepared to be patient for her. It was also helped by the fact that they could actually relate on a deeper level than others because of their shared lengthy lifespans. I'm very interested to know what Citlali is, why 200 plus is still so young for her. But his mention of a truly ancient friend that solely exists in his memory was interesting as well. He could be similarly lonely, especially being currently estranged from his sister, but he chooses to make strong connections and hold on to them after the other person fades. When they were trapped in Citlali's dreamscape, and it was found that Citlali truly had no connections to draw from to help her create a way out, I felt for her, because it illustrated just how lonely she was, even despite having Aurora on. She still can't make a real connection for fear of losing it. At the same time, the drive to save her wasn't just the Traveler being heroic. He was truly worried for her because he's getting to know her and enjoys her company, and she deserves better in his opinion, so he wanted her to be safe. Them sharing the color of each other's memory was a sweet touch, and helped to make this friendship seem more deliberate and heartfelt than the Traveler's usual magnetism. All of these things served to make Citlali's characterization and journey better than many others, especially, unfortunately, Mavika's. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Mavika. I pulled for both her and Citlali with my saved up primos all the way from 5.1. And in 5.1, she was wonderful. But I realize now that that's because the captain had raised the point of her possibly being flawed in her approach toward the Abyss problem. That it was possible she was hiding a secret vulnerability or selfish reason for wanting to handle things the way she did. If it was even wanting to find a way that would allow her to live on a bit longer to see the fruits of her labor, or some other selfish human flaw that would have helped to scratch the polished character they made for her so she wouldn't be so perfect. I was so hoping that the foreshadowing of the traveler's fragility, the talk of Mavika messing with a being to help with her plans that she didn't understand the importance of, would have bloomed into a discovery of a fatal flaw in her, such as wanting to win so badly that she underestimated how bad things could have gotten if she got the descender killed, or some other sort of imperfection. As the only truly human Archon, unlike her celestial counterparts, she has virtually no flaws, and that took away from her relatability severely. Flawed characters in stories make them better. Why? Because the more a story doesn't feel like a story, and yet is still an adventure into an unknown, the more enjoyable it is. And you do that by taking the characters or situations in that story and draw them closer to the audience experiencing them, while still building a fantastic world around them. All humans have flaws, so when characters do too, we see ourselves in them and can find reasons to dislike and then forgive them and then have them grow on us. And Citlali did that for me more than any other character in Natlan, and some others outside of Natlan too. And I truly adore her blossoming friendship with the Traveler. I hope they build on it, because now I'm invested in her development. Anyway, comment below and let me know how you felt about the stories in this patch, and what do you think of the story quests? Do you agree or disagree with my assessment? More videos about what happened in 5.3 are in the works, so subscribe for those. And share and like this video so others can see it as well. And I'll see you in the next one.